the House passed a $1.2 trillion spending package. Government shutdown averted. When you look at these shutdown votes, they always happen around a recess. Perfect time to pass through ugly bills full of lots of spending that nobody wants to talk about or read. It's got a little bit of pork. The House suspended a 3-day rule. 1,000 pages, and they have 24 hours to vote on it. And it says that the government cannot function without this bill being passed. There's $1.8 million for late-term abortions. So we're officially financing Israel, Hamas, and Egypt. Not less than $300 million for the Taiwan military.
There's a lot of money going to a certain area right now.
$6 billion for other people's militaries. The government doesn't need to shut down for the elderly, gay housing, drug needle exchange. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your congressman, the third most popular candidate to ever be. My name is Frank, and along with me, as always...
What's up, Planet Earth? I'm Bean.
Bean. Charlie and the Bean. All right, so the big thing that's happened, one of the big things that's happened in the last few days, and actually just finalized yesterday, on Friday, the House passed a $1.2 trillion spending package. And on Saturday, the senators passed it. So it has been passed. Government shutdown averted. I know you've been concerned about a government shutdown.
Very.
My whole world centers around whether the government is functioning. And like with the things they funded in this bill, we're going to go over it. And you're going to be so glad that none of these things fell through the cracks. Because, I mean, whew, it's a world I don't even want to live in. Yeah, so we don't pass budgets anymore. We pass spending bills. There was a big thing about kicking out Boehner, because he was horrible, and we needed to get smaller. That was Tea Party days, and we got Paul Ryan. Now, Paul Ryan came up in the Tea Party crowd as kind of a wunderkind of sorts. He was this young dude who came up with the Ryan plan for balancing the budget. This was like in... I don't know, 2 years into Obama, something like that. And so he actually sat down with the numbers, or his team did, or whatever. But they sat down and they're just like, hey, look, if we do this, we'll have the budget balanced in however many years and deficit gone, all that kind of stuff. And it was like an actual plan. And it was, I remember this was before, this must have been 2 years in, because a couple of years later, Romney picked him as a VP. I remember thinking like, well, that might be good. I was like, he did sit down and actually go over the numbers. Like, maybe this guy knows what's up. Of course, as a speaker, he was horrible. He got rid of earmarks, which everybody's clamoring for. Like, yes, get rid of earmarks. But another way to describe an earmark is a floor amendment. And so he took away amendments from the floor. So that kind of killed a lot of debates on bills. So any changes to a bill had to occur in committee before it hit the floor. And so there could be amendments, but not floor amendments. They had to be behind closed door amendments. And, so it got more secretive, more wheeling and dealing. So then, he's gone. Kevin McCarthy, it's a brand new day, And then, of course, he got booted. And he got booted because he passed a continuing resolution after saying that, like, he's like, we'll try to do lots of individual financing bills. And so when he got to a point where they needed an extension, I think it was 30 days or something, where he's like, look, we're close, but like these individual things need a little bit more time. So if we can just do a continuing resolution fund for the next 30 days or 45 days or whatever it is, then we can have all these single things, And so he brings it up, it passes, and immediately they go, you promised we wouldn't do an omnibus. You're out of here. And, not a lot of people cried about him being gone, but it was one of those things that was a little unreasonable, because as much as I think omnibuses are horrible, He's like, what's the worst about giving a dude like another 45 days where he goes, look, we're close. We've got 12 different appropriations bills. I'm working on it. We're just not there yet. And, because 30 days, 40, it's not 6 months. It's not a year. But we kicked him out because, he wouldn't hold the line. And so the savior, they brought in Mike Johnson. Anyway, so he passed pretty much the same stuff. It was overall, I think, 100 Republicans, 101, something like that, voted for the bill between the House, or in the House, I guess. I don't know if in the Senate how many Republicans voted for it. But it relied heavily on Democrats and then, getting enough Republicans on board because they don't want to shut down the government and be the end of the line. Why do you think the Senate found it so urgent to just go ahead right into it? Because, there's times that something passes in the House, the Senate schedules a vote, it takes a little time. Why do you think the Senate was so gung-ho about voting on Saturday and getting this thing passed?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think is it's election season, but no, I don't know.
It's because they're due for a 2-week recess starting today. If they got it done on Saturday, everybody gets to go home for 2 weeks and have time off. They got a spring break basically, and so if they would have debated for a while, well, people would have to hang out. The House would probably have to stay up there. Maybe they'd go to recess and just wait. And if the Senate kicks it back to them, then they got to come back. And
oh no,
yeah. So basically, between all right, it got past the House with the Republican majority with the most objectors. Anyway, between just all right, well, let's strike while the iron's hot. But mainly it's because I don't want to miss spring break. When you look at these shutdown votes, they always happen around a recess. And holidays are big because no one's paying attention around once you get to Thanksgiving to Christmas, that whole time, people pay a lot less attention to politics. Perfect time to pass through ugly bills full of lots of spending that nobody wants to talk about or read. So, not everyone has been a fan. Thomas Massey, Sassy with Massey, and a whole slew of some other cats have not been happy about it. It's got a little bit of pork, if you can believe that. It's a few bills wrapped into one.
No.
Yeah, if you can believe it. Here, actually, I'm going to hop over here. So it is, let's see. Well, it's 1,000 pages, so that's the important thing. And we'll go through this, but it's actually a number, whatever, I forget what it is, 12 or something, appropriations bills in one. We'll get back to that guy. That guy did cool stuff. He used AI to read all 1,000 pages and give a breakdown of what's in it, which I love that.
Is that what Elon is attempting to do with Grok?
Grok. Yeah, I think Grok. But he said he was going to start having that. So I think that probably gave him the idea. And this guy just used ChatGPT or something. But if Grok was set up to automatically deliver those results immediately, that would be fun because it would be great for people to know what was going on before they voted. Oh, good news on this one too. The House suspended its rule, the 3-day rule. Okay. And I don't know if they ever changed it to the 72-hour rule. I hope they did, because I know Thomas Massey's on the Rules Committee now. But historically, in order to read a bill, they had a 3-day rule, which was supposed to mean that after it's presented, you have 3 days to read it, minimum, before you vote on it. The way it was implemented was somebody would submit it at 11:59 on a Friday.
So that's day one then.
Yeah, and then Saturday's day 2, and then Sunday at 12:02 a.m. you can have a vote, or whenever you schedule it. But you can make it so that it's 27 hours or something like that. And so I don't know if they ended up changing it to a 72-hour rule in this newest Congress. I hope so. But the good news is because of time constraints and avoiding a government shutdown, They voted just to suspend the rule for this one time. So it's 1,000 pages, and they had like 24 hours to vote on it, or 23 or something. Or they got it. I know, or maybe it was less than that. Maybe they got it at like midnight and had to vote around 7 a.m. Either way, it's 1,000 pages. So,
Looks good, guys.
That's it. All right. So these are tweets Thomas Massey pulled out of an article about Robert. That's his name? Chairman Adderholt. So some of his objections. I don't really know who Robert Adderholt is, but here are some of the things that he breaks down.
Oh, my goodness.
What is happening, Charlie?
Okay, now, there we go.
Why you do this to me? Oh, full screen, yeah. That's why. All right, so he's like, I got multiple concerns, among them, whatever. So here's some things that Chairman Adderholt says this thing funds. Senator Reid. Oh, no, different spelling than Harry Reid. All right, so out of Rhode Island, there's $1.8 million for Women and Infants Hospital, who provides late-term abortions. So that's nice. That's like $2 million. Late term, of course, means third trimester. So yeah,
There's already a baby.
oh it's a baby. Because you remember reading all the books about well, I read one book, but they tell you like the one I had told you the odds of like viability, which was great for like helping the nerves. After 30 weeks, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
And so like the last trimester would be, I guess it's 13 weeks, so it'd be like 27 weeks on. And so like the youngest baby to ever live premature birth was 22 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, very premature. Lived, survived, still lives. Probably some health conditions. I'm not sure. But that's the earliest ever with medical science. But, once you get to like 30 weeks, you start getting to that 80% plus. So third trimester is like killing those babies. Like, you can be pro-choice, say abortion's not killing babies, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like if we're talking about week 40, maybe we can all agree that's a baby. Maybe then week 37, that's a baby, and 35. So I just feel like third trimester is not a place for debate on whether it's a baby or not yet. I think if everyone, that's the thing that gets me about the late-term abortion people. It's like, we don't have to go all the way through. We don't have to go all the way through. But can we just agree that the third term is just off the table? Like that one's off the table. And we'll go from there. But if we can get to that point, that'll be something, It doesn't seem unreasonable either. All right. So Senator Shaheen from New Hampshire got $650,000 for Dartmouth, Hitchcock, Nassau, New Hampshire. Oh, more late-term abortions. Okay. So more abortions. Senator Gillibrand, $146,000 for an LGBTQ family service to youth. They offer services related to your pregnancy choices. So it's LGBTQ and abortions? Okay. Whatever. Massachusetts, $850,000 LGBTQ senior housing. We have to have separate housing for like gay people? Just because they're old folks?
That's really weird.
That seems intolerant.
It's an internment camp
For old gay people.
Oh, and also free drug needle exchange.
Perfect. Let's all do drugs.
And LGBTQ services for legal immigrants, free drug needle exchange. What the hell does that have to do with senior housing? I mean, don't get me wrong. When I'm 115, I'm starting my heroin habit. But maybe that's it. Maybe other old people are doing heroin. That'd be fun. Gay heroin. All right, Senator Booker, New Jersey, $400,000 for Garden State Equality Education Fund, New Jersey, LGBTQ youth advocacy. Now, and y'all might say, like, I like having programs for the youth of the LGBTQ community, and that's all well and good. I just want to bring up everything we're about to talk about. All these things are lumped into one big bill. And it says that the government cannot function without this bill being passed. So you might say, cool, I feel like the marginalized communities of the LGBTQ world need more support. It's like, all right, can we agree the government can continue to function without that program, or with that program operating without government funds, or without government funds coming right now? Like, the government doesn't need to shut down for the elderly gay housing drug needle exchange.
Well said, sir.
Yeah. All right, there's more. Senator Heinrich. So LGBTQ services. Ooh, here's a good one. This is Washington. Asylum and illegal immigration. LGBTQ asylum and illegal immigration services advertised. Drag brunch advertised. These people really cross a lot of goals.
Is brunch the brunch I'm thinking it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, I've been to a drag bingo brunch. It was actually pretty fun. For a squirrel nonprofit.
A what?
Yeah, it's a squirrel nonprofit. I have a cup in there. Like, we went because Rachel got on a bingo kick.
I'm trying to keep a straight face.
So we went in search of some hot bingo action.
Okay.
And so there was a drag brunch bingo. I think it happens every weekend at this one bar. And this one helped squirrels.
Yeah, it's the squirrel that's getting me. It's not the drag brunch. It's the
Squirrels.
The squirrel nonprofit.
Yeah, and my my sister came along, and her dog is not friends with the squirrels.
Huh.
And
Perfect.
I feel torn about it. I actually feel like poor Rosie. I can't imagine the shame.
I have to mark this one.
But yeah, the squirrels. Yeah. So this one place helps for illegal aliens who are LGBTQ and those looking for asylum. Cool. Another gay and lesbian health collective, which actually that one does what it says it's going to do, LGBTQ services. At least that one makes sense. Not like LGBTQ services and also pumpkin patches. All right, Senator Casey, 400 grand. Mazzoni Center. Fundraisers featuring drag queens. Drag queens and kings? What's a drag king? Oh, is it the other direction?
I guess.
That doesn't sound fun.
I don't know enough about this.
Drag kings just don't sound like they'd be fun. So what, you're going to dress like you're a dude? Because, like, you know, drag queens, they get to dress, you know, like over the top.
Yeah.
But it's because there's been performers and like Vegas showgirls and stuff like that that are over the top with their costumes. And so that kind of works. But a drag king, like, I imagine you're trying to look like a macho dude. Like, what do you just wear a suit, a tuxedo, and be like, I'll have a bourbon on the rocks. That doesn't even sound fun. All right. Burlesque performers. Youth as young as 14 stating, okay. Patients under 18 can receive confidential care regarding sexual and mental health without parental permission. Great. And offers a femme university aimed at catering to the younger generation of trans or gender non-conforming femmes. Okay, cool. So 400 grand towards helping trans kids. This other dude, advocacy, I don't care. Why, services. Syringe exchange. This is another one. LGBTQ services and syringe exchange. Is there, I mean, it's Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah, they have a big drug problem.
Yeah, so I guess probably gay hookers. Maybe just non-hookers too. But it just seems like a weird combo. The syringe thing and like the gay, community, whatever community, and syringes,
It seems like the LGBTQ is added to gain support.
I don't know.
Because every one of these.
I mean, yeah, these are all, well, and to be fair, this is like a Republican that put it out. And so, so he's focusing on that kind of stuff. I mean, these are all, but like, okay, so Massachusetts has a bit of a opiate problem too. But like, yeah, gay services for illegal immigrants.
Nearly all of them.
And free needle. It's just two different centers, both combining syringes and gay services. Or, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't speak great for the LGBTQ community. That, like, because that already, makes it kind of niche, like as much as trans is getting stretched as a definition, non-binary can be literally nothing. It's like everyone's non-binary. It's like, cool. It's like, but you live a heteronormative life. It's like, right. It's like, you look like a boy. You were born a boy. You like to date girls. It's like, and you're non-binary. It's like, I don't know. Sounds like he's a boy, a heteronormative boy. Anyway, even with all that, like the percentage of the population is very small. And if a majority of that population has a needle problem, like not just drugs, not like they like to do blow or even like snort or smoke meth, because like back in the day in Chelsea, like Chelsea, New York, the muscly gay dudes there, they loved meth and just but no, this is needles. That's not great. All right, I want to get to this next tab. Can you get me switched over? So this guy is the guy that used AI. There we go. So there's a lot in here. I found it's easier actually to start towards the bottom and work our way up because it kind of gives a general perspective and then it breaks things down a little bit more specifically. All right, so pages 900 through 1012. That's just so many pages. All right. So it's 135 million for the Prevention and Stabilization Fund to support countries with governments demonstrating the will to strengthen legitimacy. Governments that are looking to strengthen their legitimacy. So it's like, all right, here's 135 mil for other governments, not us.
To be more legitimate?
To be legitimate. What if they want to be legitimate? They're willing to be more legitimate.
They want to be stronger in their legitimacy.
Yeah, well, they just want to demonstrate a will to be stronger in their legitimacy. It's all about their will. $10 million to promote accountability for genocide crimes, or genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. I'm thinking not ours.
I was just going to say, is that money coming back to us? Like,
We're like, we're sorry. Money. Yeah. Let's see. $94 million to promote internet freedom globally.
that's weird. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Because I know the net neutrality. That's what people call internet freedom. And that's the opposite of internet freedom because it's the regulation of the internet. So I guess what that means is we're looking to tap everyone's internet connection.
Great. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else. Internet freedom. So let's keep an eye on you so everything's good. All right, a biodiversity conservation program, $365 million. To combat wildlife poaching and trafficking, $118 million. Sustainable landscape programs, $176 million. An Indo-Pacific strategy, an adaptation program, including for the Indo-Pacific strategy, $256 million. $247 million clean energy programs, including the Power Africa initiative. So $247 million. We want to do windmills and solar panels in Africa. Not like efficient power, but clean power. Water supply and sanitation projects, $451 million. I can't imagine there's that many federal projects. All right, here's some good ones. This is between pages 800 and 900. We got basically $1.5 billion for assistance to Egypt, including $125 million from economic support, not less than $1.3 billion from foreign military financing program. So $1.5 billion to power Egypt.
Not less than?
Not less than.
That's minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a hard number.
Well, their foreign military financing program. It's like, I just think that maybe, I don't know, we're just going to keep funding other militaries. Now, is Egypt on the border of anybody interesting right now? is there something going on near one of their borders? That's interesting. So we're officially financing Israel, Hamas, and Egypt
At a minimum.
at a minimum. Did you see how, like our State Department or something was kind of calling Netanyahu like that he needs to step down, he's illegitimate and stuff? It was just like, cool. Yeah, we're not trying to get involved in any elections or anything like that. Like, let's just. Our foreign policy is so weird. We're like, the Palestinians must be supported. Also, we support Israel. Also, Netanyahu needs to step down, and we love Israel, but not Netanyahu, and go Palestinians, and also the Egyptians. Like, what am I? Okay. 121 million for assistance to Burma. Another 1.8 billion to support the implementation of the Indo-Pacific strategy. Some more of that. 400 million for a countering PRC influence. That's China. So we're going to spend 400 million to counteract the influence that the People's Republic of China has. Yeah.
Okay.
Not less than 93 million for assistance to Laos. How about the Pacific Island countries? How about another 160 million Pacific Island countries?
There's a lot of money going to a certain area right now.
Yeah, we kind of near. Yeah, it's almost like we want to influence Asian countries to not be on China's side if they invade Thailand or Taiwan. 40, not less than 40 million for the Philippines military. Not less than 300 million for the Taiwan military. That's
There it
interesting. I
is.
thought we weren't involved.
There it is.
I thought we were one China policy. Taiwan is China, I thought. That's what we said over and over. Except for when Biden said we go to war over Taiwan, which is not great considering that was not actually our position. And 197 million for Vietnam. I wonder what all that adds up to. Probably a lot. More than zero. So once again, we had to avoid government shutdown because it was important to give multiple. I bet you that adds up to more than more than 2 billion. Because we got. Oh yeah, we got.
Oh, yeah, we're way over that.
Oh yeah, we're over 3 already. All right. Anyway, we got a few billion that we need to send to Asian nations, or our government cannot function. It's very, very important. Let's see, $6 billion with a B for the HIV/AIDS program, including the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. International disaster assistance, of course, because other people's disasters are important for us. An economic support fund, democracy fund under Department of State, $205 million. What agencies are in the Department of State? Is there like a central agency there?
I think so.
Yeah, I feel like there's a central agency at the Department of State that likes to spend money. Oh, speaking of them, how about 140 million for the Democracy Fund under U.S. aid? So there's 205 under Department of State and another 140 under U.S. aid. And do you say, what is U.S. aid? There's also people who claim that the U.S. aid is heavily involved with the CIA. And that often CIA employees will use U.S. aid as their cover to be overseas because of the number of employees that live overseas full time. And their main job is to spread money to other countries.
Ah, that explains the acronym.
Yeah.
Nice.
Aid, yeah. And they make rules, though. You can't be involved until you got to renounce terror. So that's
Okay.
one. And basically, you have to do with somebody for who was it? Was it Palestine? I forget. No, it wasn't. Oh, it was Yemen. In a UN thing at some point, the U.S. said they wanted to do whatever the hell. So everyone's like, I agree. Yemen's like, I say no. And so whoever it was at the time went up to the Yemen ambassador and said, well, that was the most expensive no vote you ever placed. And suddenly, aid dried up. And we're like, screw Yemen. And so Now there's things going on that aren't great. Overall. I mean, if you're not a fan of disease and starvation and like bombing of children. But if you love those things, it's happening over there. All right, let's see. Narcotics control, peacekeeping operations, financial military, or foreign military finance. Oh, here's one more foreign military financing. That is $6 billion.
That is a lot.
$6 billion for other people's militaries.
Did you see the of which?
Yeah, of which $275 million is designated as emergency funding. Don't touch that one unless it's an emergency. All right, we got diplomatic programs. Office of the Inspector General, he needs $131 million. Education and cultural exchange programs, $741 million. Embassy security, construction, and maintenance, $902 million. Let's see, more peacekeeping and activities for $1 billion. What else we got? International Boundary and Water Commission, $156 million. We got an United States Agency for Global Media. Who knew that? We've got global health programs for about $4 billion. Oh yeah, more USAID and operating expenses separate for $1.7 billion for USAID. The Asia Foundation, that's $22 million. United States Institute of Peace.
Get out of here.
You know, it actually is pretty telling. Like all these numbers we're throwing around, like it's $64 billion for boundaries and water commissions, and we're like, Institute of Peace, 55 mil. Like it's like I won't give them $1. I'll give them $1. Preservation of America's heritage abroad, 770,000. Yeah, I don't care about that either. Let's see. Committee for purchase from people who are blind or severely disabled. Committee for purchase from people, 13 million to purchase things from people with disabilities? I don't understand. Labor Relations Board, $299 billion. Womp womp. Let's see. Substance abuse, $2 billion. All the NIH crap. National Library of Medicine, $500 million. Anyway, we get into all the national institutes. Look at all these national institutes. Did you know about all these things? We got cancer, heart, lung, dental, and craniofacial research. Craniofacial. Diabetes and digestive and kidney disease. Neurological. Allergy and infectious disease. General medicine. Child health and human development. Eye Institute. Environmental health sciences. Aging. Arthritis, musculoskeletal and skin disease. Deafness and other communication disorders. Nursing. Alcohol abuse. There's a good one. That's over $500 million for alcoholism. And another $1.6 billion for drug abuse. And then mental health, genome research, biomedical. God, there's just so many things in here. We're like, what are all these? So all this stuff is in here. All this stuff had to be passed to avoid government shutdown.
It's all subsidies. Like,
oh yeah, it's crazy. Birth defects, $206 million. I mean, it's all these things you go like, I don't like injury. Injury prevention and control is good. $761 million. It's just like, okay, yeah. Family planning, $286 million. More AIDS, $2.5 billion for the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program. I don't know who Ryan White is, but even if he died of AIDS, I would think, I mean, maybe he's happy that there's a fund in his name helping to battle AIDS. I don't know. When I die, I don't want there to be like a Frank Kraft AIDS program, or any other disease. It's like, this is a Frank Kraft fungal program. No, I'm not really all that fungal. It's just some athlete's foot, Countering weapons of mass destruction. That's a whole page there. We got all sorts of millions. It's 140, 160. Yeah, hundreds of millions. Science, technology. Look at all these things. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Not very much money. FEMA. Cybersecurity. Secret Service. Coast Guard. TSA. Yeah, TSA. That's $10 billion, $40 million. Yeah, so over $10 billion to support the damn TSA.
complete garbage.
The army of middle school dropouts with a lot of authority. And then Customs and Border Protection. They got 18. Wait, they got less than. Where's the TSA? Oh no, they got more than TSA. Okay, 18 billion, and then another 850 million. Like, so the border's going pretty good, right? Oh yeah, then the courts.
Oh
Look at
my
all.
God.
Yeah, all the judges get their money too. The Supreme Court, 118 mil. There's all like the minor courts in there. There's $9 billion for federal buildings, GSA federal building funds. Like, this is just wild. Like, these are the things. And in the grosser part about that, about all of these things, is as silly as they all are, Space Force, $18 billion. Go get it, Space Force. Air Force, 47 bill. Navy, 28. Army, 17. Army doesn't get too much. I guess they're like, screw the Army. Drug interdiction.
CIA retirement.
Oh, where's that?
Right at the bottom.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, there it is. Retirement and disability fund, 514 million. God, look at all this stuff. Shipbuilding was separate than the Navy, but another 33 billion. Missiles, aircraft, defense. Look at all this money we're spending on aircraft and missiles and weapons and Space Force. And is this a separate line item? Oh, so that earlier stuff was research and development, test and evaluation for those different things. So these other operation and maintenance, they got another 58 billion for Army, 72
these are salaries?
billion. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. And like maintenance, Marine 10, Air Force 61. Air Force is expansive. Space Force, another 5. I love Space Force. But yeah, so all of this is what was so important to pass. Every single department, will you give me some access here? Every single department that there could possibly be, and then some. Oh, but that's not the grossest thing about all this. The gross thing is like within some of these line items that I was reading, there are. It breaks down further, So AI just went through and said, "Let's just see what generally is in here." But the problem is, like all the things we read on the first page that the Republican dude was pointing out, like we didn't read any of those names. Like those are line items under these things. So it's like, hey, all this money goes to, the reproduction services. It's like, what does that mean? It's like, well, let's look under it. And that's suddenly you got all the abortion clinics and stuff. And so it's one of the things that has been approved in here, and this is from the Blaze is reporting on it. Some of this came from Congressman Massey as well. But President Joe Biden's Department of Justice unveiled a new entity that will train state and local officials on procedures to apply red flag laws to confiscate firearms from gun owners who are a threat to themselves or others. Conservatives slammed the new center that intends to bolster red flag laws to confiscate firearms threatening gun owners. So in it, we now have, what is it called? The department? It's the red flag department. The National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center will provide training and technical assistance to law enforcement officers or officials, prosecutors, attorneys, judges, clinicians, victim service and social service providers, community organizations, and behavioral health professionals responsible for implementing laws designed to keep drugs out of the hands of people who pose a threat to themselves or others.
Guns.
It's all about guns. So we got this whole new department under the DOJ just for red flag laws. Attorney General Merrick Garland stated, the launch of the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Research Center, just rolls off the tongue, will provide our partners across the country with valuable resources to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to, yeah, we already heard all that, supporting law enforcement, blah, 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 blah. Thomas Massey said, what the hell is this evil? A federal red flag center? We did not authorize this. Announced, of course, just hours after the omnibus passes. So you get all the funding in, and then you go, hey, guess what was in there? So now, like, red flag laws, I'm done with this one. Red flag laws are troublesome if you believe in gun rights. Red flag laws, a lot of times, means somebody calls up and they go, hey, Charlie's a real violent bully, and he threatened to kill me, you know? And then they go, okay, well, we'll investigate it. Well, step one is go into your house, take all your guns. Step two, start the investigation. Step three, I don't know, see how it goes. And so, like, much like civil asset forfeiture, which is one of the more evil things that our government does, where they just go, you got a lot of cash in this trunk. We think it's drugs. We're going to take it. No, I'm just going to buy a car. Then we're just going to take it. And so, and then they hold it, they spend it, and you have to go to court. You go, can I have my money back that was legal? And they go, prove it was legal. You go, I earned it from my job, and now I saved money for a car, and I want to buy a car. What more do I need to prove? They go, more than that. And so you got to prove where every dollar came from. And then, if you do a good job of proving your case, and pay enough for the lawyers, of course, then they will let you have your money back. And your car back too, maybe. But red flag laws are kind of the same gross thing, but for guns. So, you know, suddenly the government has this open-ended excuse of it was reported that you were dangerous. You're a danger to yourself or others. We just need to take them away temporarily while we investigate. It's like, oh, looks like he has said some angry things on the internet. He has joked or he has made comments about killing, you know, politicians and stuff. Like, I don't know. I think he is a threat. I think we should keep him from having guns. Now we have a whole federal department for that.
Well, it's like the Patriot Act too. You know, you just be labeled a terrorist for no. There doesn't even have to be a reason. They're just like terrorist. You're in jail for no reason.
Yeah. Yep. We saw it worked. I mean, we saw it worked, and we're gonna keep going because USA. All right, let me see where I want to hop to next. I think this. See if there's anything good in here. We don't need to switch to it yet. There's another article about pork, and so. There's $1 million going to an environmental justice center in New York City. That's nice.
Environmental justice?
Have you not heard of environmental justice, Charlie?
What?
Listen. Global warming affects the people of color community to a greater extent than that of the white people, especially white males. White males have a systemic advantage during global warming, global climate change, over people of color, indigenous people, and the LGBTQIA community. Okay? In order to right that wrong, we need environmental justice.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm trying to take it seriously.
Oh, you don't think it's good to help people, Charlie? Do you hate people of color?
No,
Do you hate the indigenous?
Nope.
Okay, so you're just full of hate. So I'm sorry that y'all had to witness that. But anyway, yes, we're gonna have an environmental justice center in New York City. So cheap real estate. All right, let's see. So of course, so as we talked about before, Kevin McCarthy got booted for continuing resolutions, and now we have Speaker Mike Johnson in there, and he passes this thing, and immediately we got less than 5 months into his tenure, House Speaker Mike Johnson is already facing a motion to vacate. So he passed it, and who you think filed the motion, Charlie?
I don't know. Wait, so they're giving him the boot after this went through?
Well, a motion to vacate has been filed. It hasn't been voted on. You have to have a majority. You have to have 50% plus one to boot them. They haven't even held a vote. But I'll give you a clue. One member of the Republicans who was involved with a McCarthy ouster submitted this motion. She is aware of the Jewish space laser.
Is
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's okay. I was going to say her. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So after the House passed $1.2 trillion spending bill to avert government shutdown, I'm surprised the Blaze would even put that language in there. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican Georgia, filed a motion to vacate the speakership. She did not file the motion as privileged, which would have forced a vote within 2 weeks, or within, 2 legislative days. Oh, that means the House will not address the motion for at least 2 weeks because the House is scheduled to go on recess on Friday. Even her be like, I disagree. He needs to get out after spring break. It's important to me, but not like canceling plans important. I filed a motion to vacate today, but it's more of a warning than a pink slip. I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and throw the House in chaos, but this is basically a warning, she said. It's time for us to go through the process, take our time, and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans and our Republican majority instead of standing with Democrats. If the motion makes its way to the House floor, it would only require a majority vote to kick him out, which is one of the interesting things. The House majority for the Republicans is so small that, like, every time they do this, they only need like 10 Republicans to vote yes to kick him out because all the Democrats are just like, yeah, like y'all look like a joke. Why would I stand in the way? Yes. And also, as soon as you say we're going to elect someone else, like we're going to all vote for Hakeem Jeffries, So it's like if they could pull off being the minority party with the speaker, that would be such an embarrassing coup. That would be so embarrassing for the Republicans. So, of course they're going to vote for it every time. And you just need 10 people on the Republican side to go along with it. Let's see. So the vote's unlikely. Several of the Republicans who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy have already said they would not support Greene's motion. It also faces opposition from GOP leadership. And at least one Democrat has already voiced to oppose it. And the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, responded that Greene is a quote-unquote joke, which is just shocking to me. She has to be the worst strategist ever. Maybe it helps her brand, and she knows it won't actually come up for a vote, so it doesn't matter. This could just be give herself some press and show her fight, because of re-election. She's a representative. She has to, get reelected every 2 years. So it could just be as simple as that. Like, I fight back against the establishment, whether it's our party or not, But, if in the time that the Republicans have the majority of the House, it's a 2-year period, and you you take forever to elect a speaker. Then you kick him out. Take forever to replace him. If you kick out this guy, if nobody, the Bucks went through a period after Gruden where coaches were given basically they gave Raheem Morris too many years, but after him it was just 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, and we never got any footing, because everybody came up with a new philosophy, and it was just all right, we don't even time to see if the philosophy is really working, because it's just all right, we tried it twice, get out of here. And the Glazers are so bad about hiring on time. Anyway, lots of complaints. This is kind of that same thing. It's just sorry, you didn't do exactly what I wanted. You got to get out. And the speaker role is a weird one. Your job is to move legislation for a vote, schedule things for a vote. And then, after that, the key about being the leader is you try to only get things to a vote when it's what your party wants, And that is the game that he doesn't really play. So I don't know. All these guys are...
Are you saying he's logical?
Swamp logic. Yeah. I don't know. Clearly, $1.2 trillion. This thing could have moved forward with funding with much less, but he wouldn't have got the Democrats to vote for it. And, I think his logic is, because Mitch McConnell, as much as he's a turd, he was a pretty conniving fella. And so he didn't often do things for no reason, and he was surprisingly effective. He he was a turd, and I wish he was less effective, but like he did things for a reason. This guy could be as simple as, this is a presidential election year, and if there's a government shutdown with Republican leadership, they'll be hung around their necks, and they think that'd be bad in the general election with all the independents. Maybe it'll keep Trump from being elected. Maybe all of a sudden they lose the House. Maybe they lose the Senate. So it's a lot of like election year stuff is when they get the most cowardly, and they're like I don't know, just keep pumping the money out. Like, who cares? Who cares? We'll just print more. Like, who cares? I mean, and sometimes that's really all it comes down to. One of the big things that some of these cats, like Chip Roy, and I mean, you hear DeSantis talk about it too, is we need more border stuff, border fund. And they go, oh, it's not all about border funding. It's all about letting them enforce the law, And so this video was going around and around and around. Okay, I'm ready when you are. This video is going around of the southern border. And we got, all right, look at all these people rushing the border. Is there anything, like, when you look at this, Charlie, what do you notice about the migrants?
Some of their hands are in the air.
Well, that's true. What's something that a lot of them have? Oh, there we go. Overpowering. Push through them all.
It's all males, it looks like.
Elderly males?
No.
Oh,
Definitely not. Very strong young males.
strapping young men, huh? And they're there with their families.
Nope.
No.
Nope. No kids in sight.
Look at that. Okay, there might be. Hold on. I think I saw a girl. No? Hold on. No?
It's very short now.
Yeah. Hey, that might be a girl.
Nope.
All right. So, it's lots of young men. Young, in-shape men. And when you start looking at the numbers of the people coming through, it's not all South Americans or Central Americans. We have Chinese. I think there's some Afghanis. People are coming from all over to enter through the southern border, amnesty and whatnot. The funny thing about this is the libertarians are a bit weird on this, right? So the basic, like, official libertarian philosophy, like the non-aggression protocol. What is it? Non-aggression? What's the P? Anyway. Policy is basically it's never okay to use aggression, use force against people. The government can't do it, and you can't do it to people. Like aggression is not a way to enact policy. And so with that, the border, there should be no borders. The free flow of people and goods is the best way. Just free market all over the place. Okay, cool. With that, there's a chunk that says, all right, so there should be a totally open border. There is a chunk that doesn't. But I think the one thing I think libertarians often miss when talking about events of the day is looking at the ultimate goal, looking at what would be the right way for things to be handled, and saying you have to jump right there. And like with economics, there's a lot of things where you can't do that. All right, get rid of taxes, cut these programs, boom. People, well, what about the services? Well, they'll fundraise or they'll shut down if they're not offering services that people want and people think valuable. Then yeah, maybe they go away. But anyway, so with the border, you go, okay, like I agree, it'd be great if people could come in, work in Texas, go back home in Mexico, vice versa. And then, just whatever's clever. That would require us not having a system where we're giving out free airline passes. These people get passes. Did you hear about the hookers in Lakeland?
I heard about the passes, the debit cards,
Yeah, like they get a pass where they can go on like as many flights as they want for free. As long as it's within the United States. Those hookers that got caught in Lakeland, that's what the guy found out. They were being trafficked. It's, it's sad, but of course that's what happens when you kind of create this system of legals and illegals where it's anyway. But they would hang out wherever. Their pimp, for lack of a better word, would like message about like doing meetups in different metropolitan areas, and then they'd go hop on a plane, fly to that area. That's how they ended up in Lakeland, because they were meeting up with a bunch of dudes, and then they'll fly back to like New York and bounce around to other areas. So like it was, I knew they were given a ticket to fly somewhere. I didn't realize they were given a pass that could be used multiple times to fly different places. But things like that, things like welfare, like obviously you can't have all these programs and be able to support anybody coming in and out whenever the hell they please. But the thing about a border is we have to admit that there are governments with laws, right? As much to our chagrin. Say you get it as minimal as possible, right? And as local as possible. Okay, so, your community, your neighborhood agrees on a policy for how your neighborhood's going to be run. We like to plant orange trees in the median, and those oranges are available to anybody in our neighborhood. Anybody can have them. And it's like, sounds good. So you allow people outside of your neighborhood, and they go, well, not technically, but if they're hungry, you go, all right, what about 2 neighborhoods over? And at some point, it's like, well, I mean, they're ours, they're for the good of our community. So it's a local thing. They can grow their own too, and they can have it. But whatever the thing is, at some point, there's a boundary for where these rules operate, and you could want that to not be true, but as of today, that is very true, and if, say, that America becomes a libertarian paradise tomorrow, Mexico's a different country. And, we have to acknowledge that it's a different country. And so you can say, well, maybe they need to become a libertarian paradise too. It's like, all right, well, cool. Well, now that's 2 countries that we need to do it with, And it's like, well, and then keep going south. It's like there's all these different countries there. And within each country, there's different laws. And there's a line where those laws start and end, which is a good thing, because if we become a libertarian paradise tomorrow, and we go, no border, it's like, okay, so are we going to allow Mexico to enforce their laws in San Antonio? It's like, well, clearly not, right? That'd be horrible. That's called being overtaken. So like, until the world is freed of governments, we need to know where the government authority starts and stops. Which rules apply to us here. And so we do have a border, and it goes beyond not wanting to use aggression against people to say, hey, we'll keep you out by force, or you need to do this by force. The war machine side of things tries to create narratives often, to keep us fighting, keeping us, divided and trying to go to war and all that kind of stuff. But you have to acknowledge that it is very real that the border is being overrun with military-age males. And you say, oh, well, that's inflammatory talk, that you could say they're college-age males or something like that. All right, cool. Young single men, for the most part. A bunch of dudes coming over here. You hear the reports that Venezuela empties their prisons to send them up here. Cuba's done it in the past. You hear about people who happen to be on terror watch lists or whatever, who are from countries that are not Central and South America, coming in over the southern border. So you go, all right, there's people from China coming in over the southern border. These are real. And at some point, you have to figure out where to begin your focus. And it can't be the entire globe at once, other than not going to war with people, ending, treaties or taking, shutting up bases, stuff like that. Cool. But you have to decide, you do have to decide on what the laws of your country will be. And I think the immigration system needs to be reformed. I think you go back to Ellis Island style thing and kind of get pretty chill. But right now, there's something going on that is not normal. It's not normal. This is not normal immigration. This is not families coming over looking for a better life. This is not an influx that is natural and organic. People looking for a better life, sure. Why is it all dudes? Why is it all dudes? I think the area that sometimes libertarians get caught in is sometimes they focus so much on pointing out the lies and the hypocrisy from the United States side, which is very valuable and real and true, that sometimes it ends up that they give too much credit to, the other side. I've seen interesting stuff about, Middle East and our involvement over there, where it's like, oh, cool, I agree. And then suddenly there's mention of Iran, where it's like, okay, well, you're just taking like anything the U.S. government says, you're calling BS on. But when the Iranian government says it, we're just going to credit it as true. If the Russian government says it, we're going to just credit it as true. And it's like, the U.S. government's definitely working angles and is up to something all the time. But so are they. Iranian government is, the Russian government, they all are. And like, there are nefarious forces out there that do want to destabilize the United States. And that doesn't mean we have to go to a world war over it or anything like that. But they exist. There's Russian, like the Soviets wanted to destabilize us. China wants to destabilize us. Now that the former KGB from the Soviet Union has been the leader of Russia for 20 years or whatever, they probably want to. And the more of the stuff that we do that is destabilizing to other countries, the more that we interject, people aren't going to just sit back and be on the defensive. They're going to be on the offensive as well. So we got lots of people coming to this border, lots and lots and lots, and a lot of them are military age, or they're young criminal age. They're just generally not families, just looking for a better life. I don't know what they are, but we have to acknowledge that. And there does have to be some sort of, if you have a rule, you got to enforce it. And until we change the immigration system, you can't just say, all right, well, everybody gets to come in and we're going to pay for your life. If it's y'all can come in and we don't pay for anything for you. And if they die, they die, it's like, okay, I can probably get behind that. But that's just not the system we have. It's not the system, and we have to do something about it.
Well, and their moral compass, based on, it depends on, what country they're coming from. I'm not saying they're all have a terrible moral compass, but those countries may not operate the same manner that the U.S. does as far as morals and laws. And
yeah.
So they're coming in just like, I'm just going to act like I did in this previous country.
Well, yeah. It's a good point when you go to different countries, especially on islands. You see how people drive. You go, this is insane, It's just and that's now in Miami, we drive. It's insane. But there's silly things like that. There's things like, spousal abuse. There's certain cultures that, you're allowed to slap your wife around a little bit and, just get her, still to act right, just be a good husband. And, but in the United States, kind of a crime, frowned upon. And so there's other, there are cultural things like that. And assimilation is important, it's, you don't have to strip someone of their culture, but they do need to acknowledge that they're moving to a place with different cultural experience, and you can hold on to what you like, and also ingratiate yourself to the United States. So whatever it is, it's you stop beating your wife, and you still have your dinner on Saturday or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, there's different things like that where it's are you coming to America, or are you bringing your country to America? Because that is also force. If like, oh, these poor people. We're trying to force them out. We don't want them to be able to have guns. That's the newest debate, whether illegal aliens have the right to bear arms in the United States. But anyway, it's like, oh, well, it's like, okay, but if they force Mexico into, I don't know, Ohio, and it's just like, okay, Ohio didn't want to be Mexico. It's like, but now they are, because we just moved a whole city from Mexico to Ohio, and now it's like everybody there. They've elected a mayor who's Mexican. He speaks Spanish, and like everybody's, congratulations, it's Mexico now. Like there's been a little bit of force to make that happen, and it's anyway, it's great. It's one of these things where you have to look at the reality on the ground. What's the solution? I mean, the solution, I think, is, you have to reform the immigration system but I think you have your rules, and it's just like, no, if you need to apply for asylum, you stick to the rule, which is go to the neighboring country and you apply for asylum there. And then you wait in that country and then you get it. And if you try to come in the wrong way, it's not going to be super pleasant. You don't get to go free. Like, the whole family in cages thing. It's like, maybe, if the idea is if you don't make it, if you don't making it when you sneak in, yeah, you got to live in this hellhole. Or go home. You could go home. But if you don't want to go home and you can't come in here, like, this is the only option we have for you. So go home. But I think if you fix the immigration system so that it rewards people coming over with savings in their bank.
Good intentions.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I got savings, I got a job lined up, or I got a sponsor, got a family member with a place to stay. Like, I've made a plan, It's just like, I got savings and I got a plan and I'd like to be in America, and we just go, boom, sounds good, come on in. That's a lot better than spending $10,000 with a coyote to sneak in and then like steal an identity and then not ever be able to call the cops for protection. And so, you kind of exist outside of the law. But even like this, and then the fentanyl crisis on top of it, which, I mean, that would be solved by legalizing drugs, which I think really needs to happen. Because, like, remember heroin being the scary drug? And now, like, we talk about how much safer it'd be if it was pure heroin. Like, we're wishing for a day of pure cocaine and heroin, which, don't get me wrong, who wasn't? But yeah, like, we in this black market situation, it's becoming too much of a pain in the butt to be pure with your drugs, and a lot more profitable to use fentanyl and crystal meth to make little combo things. Like, we took drugs and we made them more dangerous by keeping them illegal. And like, until we realize that, which I don't know, we just need to realize that, because that would take a lot of heat off the border too. If like, we're not worried about people smuggling in fentanyl because we got Pepsi brand heroin, Colgate brand cocaine. All right, well, that was a bit of a disjointed rant, but yeah, this border stuff's accelerating. We need to fix that. We need all sorts of stuff to fix it. The Democrats and Republicans are never going to fix it. Probably, if Trump gets elected, we'll go back to kids in cages or something, and that'll be something. I just, I think that people need to get to the bottom of who is encouraging these people to come up here, because it's not a natural thing. Doctors Without Borders is giving out maps of how to make it to the United States from various parts of like Central and South America. And, Doctors Without Borders, cool. The doctors don't need to have borders, but do you really need to tell people how to sneak into the United States? Like, that doesn't seem mission critical. But all these other like NGOs out there, like what is fueling this, and like who is funding these people, and why? Is it just to destabilize us? Get us more in debt? I mean, like, we're already printing enough money and spending clearly with 1.2 trillion to sink our entire battleship. But, you know, is it further destabilization? Like, what's the plan here? You know? And if you go back to Saul Alinsky and his rules for radicals, destabilization is a great way to come in with force and implement new policies that people normally wouldn't like. 9/11, Patriot Act. You know? All right, well, that'll do it for this week. Until next week, Charlie.
Just be logical.
You can try it. Otherwise, just follow us. Tell everybody to follow us, like us, subscribe, all the good things on the places. Okay, bye-bye.